What's up, guys? I'm back in the garage. I'm working on this today. It's actually a really nice quad. This is actually the quad. That's not missing. That's this. I've already started messing with it a little bit. The guy brought this over. He found this on Marketplace for $275, I believe he said. But he got a hell of a deal on it. It's actually really nice. I actually tried to buy this, but he beat me to it. And he got it. It ran for about a week or so, and then it started acting up, and now it won't start. But he came over. I checked for compression. It has compression. And then I grabbed one of the connections to the wiring harness, and it's literally just brittle. I'll show you in a minute. But I squeezed one of them, and it literally just broke. The battery died from trying to start it repeatedly. And the fuel lines are shit. Look, here's the fuel line. I'm going to replace all this for him. But if I can, well, that one just pulled off, but it was, oh, gas. Okay, anyways, did that again. I feel like I'm doing that way too much now. But those fuel lines are just trash. Like, it was literally about to rip through. It didn't do that the first time I did it. Actually has a kink in it right there because I tried to pull it and show him in front of him that they're trash and they rip very easily. But anyways, I'm gonna replace all the fuel lines. I'm gonna replace the carb in it, and I'm not gonna do anything else to it. Oh yeah, and the wiring harness because the connections are brittle. But again, he did get a hell of a good deal on this. The coolest thing about this build, I thought, is I actually met this guy on Facebook Marketplace because I've been selling quads lately, been rebuilding them, making them really nice, buying junk ones, making them really nice, rebuilding them, make sure they run good and they're gonna be reliable. But I met this guy because he seen my YouTube channel, and then he reached out to me and asked if I could fix his quad. I said sure, but I usually don't give people quotes right away. I have them come to my house, or I go to their house and look at the quad, because I'm not gonna half-ass a job. I'm gonna tell them everything that needs done, and then if they let me fix everything that needs done and to make their quad reliable, then I'll fix it. If not, then I guess they can go somewhere else, but they're gonna pay more and they're not gonna get as much work done to it. But anyways, this quad, I'm excited to work on it, and I guess let's get started. I'm gonna go ahead and start pulling the plastics off. And again, this is not a complete build. I know I've been doing complete builds, but this one I'm just gonna do the wiring harness and the carb. But it's a 2020. I think it just sat for a long time, so I could clean the carb, but when you clean carbs, they don't always last like they should. So I'm just gonna replace it, and plus they're $10. You know what I mean? It's cheap. Anyways, I'm gonna get started on that. Also, since I'm replacing the wiring harness, it's really easy to get to all the fuel lines and the carb once you have the plastics off. Anyways, I'm gonna get started. All right, loosen all the hardware on the plastics. A couple more I need to get to right here, Need to take the gas lid, or the lid to the, or the cap to the gas tank off, and put this stuff to the side. And these, I've never tried to, I actually think I'm gonna be able to get to all this without taking off the handlebars, but it's just on certain plastics you can do that, not on all plastics. I'm gonna see if I can do it that way. If I can't, then I'll remove the handlebars. It'll only be about extra 15 minutes worth of work. When I quoted it for about an hour and a half of work. I think I told him, I quoted for about 30 minutes for the carb, which I don't think it's gonna take me 30 minutes. And I quoted him about an hour for the wiring harness, which I think that is fair. By the time I take off these plastics and put them back on, that's an extra 30 minutes, because you have to align them and everything. You don't want your quad looking like shit. But once I have these off, the wiring harness and the carb itself I think will take like 15 minutes. The wiring harness will take like 30 minutes to get it in place and I get it fastened, and to get it to where everything's functioning and firing correctly. But I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Something else, I don't want to disappoint anybody, so I told him it'll be about 2 weeks till I get to this one. I fully expect to get it done within a week. He brought it over on Saturday or Sunday. Sunday? Yeah, he brought it over on Sunday, and it's Thursday right now, and I fully expect to have it done tonight. What do they say? Under promise, over deliver. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and get this wiring harness undone. Like I said earlier, if you don't know how to do a wiring harness, look at my YouTube. Neighbors' kids. Anyways, if you don't know how to do a wiring harness, look at my YouTube. It's a step-by-step video on how exactly to wire a Chinese ATV. And if you don't know how to do a carb and tune a carb, there's a step-by-step video on exactly how to tune a carb and install it. Anyways, I'm gonna start getting all this stripped off, put the new one on. I'll be right back. So I'm gonna have to take this off in order to get the stator off, or the stator cover. I'm gonna do that real quick, and then I'm gonna pull the carb off. I'm gonna go ahead and put the new stator back on, put the carb back on. I'm gonna leave this off until everything's until I troubleshoot everything and it's firing up every single time. I'm pretty sure it's just a carb issue. Like I said, I already checked compression, has compression. So the only thing it needs is fuel and spark. I'm gonna get those going right now. I know this is for a 7-year-old kid. Having a kid myself, I am gonna check a few extra things like the suspension, make sure that's not fucked. Because I guess just having a kid myself, I would hate to see him get hurt on his quad. I don't want to hear about his kid getting hurt on his quad. So I'm gonna make sure to tighten all his suspension. I did mention it when he came over here. I'm like, yeah, that like your tie rods are loose. That's actually pretty dangerous. One of those comes loose and your kid's riding it. It's not gonna be good. Okay, so I just tightened up his tie rods. But again, the guy's not paying me to do that. I'm just doing it to be nice. And plus it took literally like 2 minutes to do. But the carb's done. Throttle's already been pulled out. Or the throttle cable's out. That's actually this with a needle on it. All that good stuff. Man, I should have told that guy to give me an extra 30, 50 bucks and I would have power washed the thing and make it look brand new. It's actually a really nice quad. It sucks, I should have did that. But I guess it is what it is, too late. Little learn. Carb's off. We'll grab a new carb, new wiring harness. That way you need to save this neck because the intake, because your new carb doesn't come with an intake. But from now on, when I work on other people's stuff, I am gonna tell them throw in an extra 30 bucks. I'll power wash the motor and everything else, make this shit look brand new. There's a car wash up the street. And I know a dude that owns a car wash, so I'm gonna reach out to him. Hopefully he'll sponsor this YouTube channel, make a little bit of extra money, also help him grow his own business. Anyways, carb's off. I'm gonna throw a new one on. I just pulled this stator off. These stators are super simple to change. 2 bolts here, and yeah, 2 bolts here. That's gonna pull that, loosen the wiring for that. 2 bolts here, loosen that, and it's literally just, oh yeah, one bolt here. Once you pull all that off, this literally comes out, put everything back the exact same way. There's a grommet in the front that you change, but while you have this off, go ahead and spray it out, wipe it down, make it look nice, and make it clean. Okay, so I put this neck back on. That's where I'm going to spray starter fluid once I get the wiring harness connected. I have all the fuel lines off. This is the last piece of fuel line. So this is a new wiring harness. Like I say in all my videos, put it all together off the quad and then just lay it on top of the quad. So if you're having to troubleshoot anything, you don't have everything set in place yet. It's literally just hanging there. Make sure you have spark, compression, and then it should at least fire over. Once it's firing over, then hook all your get all your fuel lines, everything else back connected, new carb on, put some gas in it, and then you should be able to start it and tune the carb. But I'm gonna go ahead and get started on all that. So to be honest, I don't think a lot of this stuff was really bad. Some of the connections were really brittle, so I don't mess with troubleshooting, especially on a $30, like a $20 to $30 wiring harness. I just replaced it all. And then you never have to worry about it for a few years. If you store these inside, you never have to worry about that shit again. Okay, so I just checked for spark. If you don't know how to check for spark, I also have a video on that. I'm gonna spray a little bit of starter fluid down the hatch. And it should fire up now. Key's on. Brakes bypassed. Okay, so this one has 100% been a weird one. Changed the battery, still couldn't get it to turn. It kept like just like going and then sticking. Changed the starter, couldn't get it to turn. Did all electrical, still the same things. Pulled everything back off, starter, electrical, battery, still couldn't get it to turn over. So I took off the stator cover and I thought maybe something's binding up in there. So there's like a little pulley type of thing in there. But anyways, I rotated that manually and then I put everything back together, put it back on, and fired right up. Now it's firing up every single time. I don't know if something was binding up inside, but the first couple of turns when I turned the engine manually, it sounded kind of rough, almost like... And then after that, it just completely went smooth, and I could feel compression coming out of the spark plug hole. And like I said, now it's firing up every time. Anyways, I definitely underbid this one, but it is what it is. I learned a lot, so if it's ever doing that again, I'll just manually turn the engine over, and if it still doesn't fire, then I know there's something binding up on the inside. Anyways, I'm getting back to it. All right, so I have everything back together. I just have the battery on here just sitting in there. I haven't put the plastics on, obviously, or the handlebars. Everything else is wired in. The brake is engaged. So typically before I put the plastics back on, I make sure I don't have any leaks in the fuel line or in the fuel system. And then I also make sure that all the electrical is working like it should. And as long as that's good to go, then I put the plastics back on, put the handlebars back on. But for the most part, this project is done. If you ever hook up the battery backwards, you'll get that noise. Probably gonna have to replace the fuse after this. Anyways, I'm gonna do that real quick. I'll be right back. So I hooked the battery up right this time. I didn't have to change the fuse. I have to pull stuff, by the way. Before I take it off, I'm gonna go ahead and put the plastic back on, the handlebars back on, and tidy everything up. Now that I know all the electrical is working good. Like I said, he doesn't think anybody messed with this, but that motor sure does shake a lot. It also might be because it's carbureting really fast. It also might be because it's carbureted and it's not fully warmed up yet. Down is open or closed. Got another one I can check. Up is closed, down is open. Let's open right now. So I'm going to let this run for a little bit while I'm tightening everything up, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so I have the plastics together. They're right here actually in front of me. But the reason I let this engine warm up it in, it gives it more gas. Listen. But if you back it out, it doesn't seem like it's doing much. It still has too much gas. So you have to give it a little bit of, you have to push the throttle a little bit. Anyways, I'm going to slap the plastic back on. I'll be right back. This thing's a wrap. Runs good. To be honest, I just did a couple donuts in my yard. Pretty happy with it. But I'm ready for him to come get it so I can go buy another one and put it in its spot. Anyways, I'm out.